Hi, welcome to the Scrapyard. I'm your host, Nathan Mulepolder, here with Taylor.
I love me.
And Xavier.
Paris, the map, and the team both suck.
We're going to be talking about Overwatch League. We're going to be talking about the trades from Tuesday, and we're going to be talking about our predictions for the first week of Stage 2. If you want to follow us on Instagram or Twitter, you can do that, at Scrapyard Media. You can't follow us on Facebook even if you want to. We don't have one. There will be a link to a Discord in the description below.
Roll intro.
You come from a land down under. Women go and men wonder.
Taylor, there was a tank swap or an off-tank swap between Boston and Dallas. You want to tell us about that?
So, like I brought up in the last episode, that Boston and like the Texas teams are usually the center of trade talks. It ended up being true. A lot of the stuff that came out Tuesday was RCK, which was the off tank from Dallas, being signed to the Boston Uprising and being traded for Note. There was a lot that I thought was good about this trade. RCK is a really strong Sombra. Note is a really strong Diva. They have
I don't know who got fleeced. That's what I'm trying to think. I don't really see this trade as who's doing, was it good or bad for either team? I'm trying to see who got played in this. Well, and it's weird because with RCK, Dallas kind of fell back on that Sombra Goats really, really hard in that first stage, and RCK was a big part of that working. So it's weird that they're trading RCK to Boston. It might signify that they might be moving away from Sombra Goats. They might have, some other stuff. But RCK is a good player.
Yeah.
But Note is an exceptional player. So I'm trying to kind of formulate in my head what Huck and the Boston Uprising staff have in mind. Because if you're trading Note, he's a top 3 tank.
I feel like it's because maybe Boston is going more towards the Sombra Goats method. Maybe they're trying to get that strong, having, the 2, 3, and then the Sombra as their, backbone of what they're going to do this meta. And maybe Dallas just wasn't happy with their team only having that. They didn't have a really strong, Diva. They had, they have strong tanks. But I feel as though maybe they were maybe we should try going Goats. Because...
Yeah, but they weren't bad, you know what I mean? And so it's my view is, why trade Note? That's a big thing for me. Why do you trade Note, who is a top 3, top 2, he's in that upper echelon of off tanks. So why, as the Boston Uprising, do you get rid of him? I wonder what future moves they have in store, because like I said, when you're doing all these moves, there's only one player on the Boston Uprising that was there last season. The rest of this roster, they've been turning over players. You know what I mean? And so I wonder what they have in mind getting rid of Note, because they have to be looking forward. You know what I mean? This can't just be, all right, we're going to get RCK for Note, and just that's it. This has to be a bigger piece.
So what I'm thinking is maybe they're foreseeing the fall of Goats eventually, and they want to have that character that can, or not that character, that player that can play a character that's more DPS oriented, that can also still run in Sombra Goats, so that they can, if Goats is kind of the fallback for Stage 2 and maybe even next season and so on, there's still that possibility of hey, we have this good DPS player, and maybe they want him as a trading chip.
I'm wondering if it's that. I'm wondering if they have RCK, that will open up trade routes with
another team wants
with another
RCK.
team.
Yeah. So it's a 3-way.
And they can get
that makes sense.
an even better Diva,
because
or
I think
an even better Sombra.
If you're gonna trade a top 5 player, I feel like there has to kind of be something to it. I feel like you just don't trade a top 5 player for somebody that's not a top 5 player and just be all right, that's fine. Yeah. RCK either has to be a bigger piece in another trade. They're talking with another team and they're we would like somebody like RCK, and they're we can get him and flip him to you. So I wonder what moves are going to be done kind of either before Stage 2 actually starts tonight, or in the off season between stage 2 and stage 3. Like, I wonder what other moves are going to be done, you know? Because this is kind of a weird trade. It's a good trade for both teams. Both teams are winning. Like, both teams are going to be happy with what they have. Yeah. I just wonder why. Like, what's the point?
Okay,
you know?
well, you know, another big trade that happened, Atlanta got Bebe. And I'd like to say I'm really happy because, like I said, I saw potential for Atlanta. That was one of my major, you know, kind of points on the last episode. And they may have lost to Fran, but they got a new face from Bebe.
Yeah, he's a great face.
I said that Bebe hasn't gotten enough playtime, and he was one of the people I was thinking of when we were talking about in the last episode how, they don't have a face now. Mm-hmm. And, like, Atlanta Reign kind of has become Overwatch League's face, kind of. Yeah. Especially this season. It's just like, this team came in, they're the face. It partially was because of DeFran. It was partially because it was a good, solid team. But I feel like without having some kind of charismatic face, and Bebe is a very charismatic glue kind of guy, I'm wondering if it's because they need that so that they can keep pushing themselves.
Yeah, I could see Bebe getting play immediately. You know, just throw him on Zarya and be like, hey man, do you? Because, you know,
yeah, sure,
DeFran's gone. He was playing a lot of Zarya, but I feel like they could just be like, all right, Bebe, you know, throw you in there as Zarya. Let's see what you got. Because he hasn't gotten any play this season. He wasn't going to get play at all on the San Francisco Shock.
He hardly got play last season.
And if we move away from goats, we get some hit scan action from him. It's what we all love. Now, Xavier, bigger news that you want to talk about.
Yeah. So, earlier today, and I'm just going to read this off a little bit, but there was a breaking news story by Halo from his blog talking about why the LA Valiant trade with the Boston Uprising fell apart. And so just kind of refresh everyone's memory, Boston was going to trade Fusions and Asking to the Los Angeles Valiant for Fate and KSF. And this story is really troubling because I feel like the Los Angeles Valiant organization is in a state of disarray. Mm-hmm. And I feel like they're ruining their relationship with other teams. Now, some of the big points of why this trade fell apart, one was KSF's contract. They misled the Boston Uprising. They just told the Boston Uprising that this was like a flat contract. But actually, when they looked at the contract, this had salary escalation. He had a starting bonus, so when he would start, he'd get paid more. Mm-hmm. And so that took the Boston Uprising off guard. But they were able to kind of talk this out and kind of get KSF to agree to signing a contract restructuring. So that happened. And then another big issue, which this is why I think that, you know, them working together, them falling apart with the Boston Uprising is going to crush their relationship with other teams, is that the Los Angeles Valiant pulled out of this trade in 0 hour. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Fusion's going away dinner was about to happen.
Yeah.
When they dropped out of the trade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the reason behind dropping out of this trade was community pressure. The community was like, "Wow, you guys are only getting, you know, Fusions and Asking? That's crazy. Wow." And so they pulled out of the trade at the 0 hour. Asking is on Twitter saying that the Valiant broke him because Asking was so excited to come onto a pro team. And so
yeah, it's not okay because
it's terrible.
What they did really, like, to think of like KSF or like Fusions or any of them who were like literally saying, "Oh, we're being traded," to their team. They were literally like serving dinner or like the going away cake. I'm not sure how they would have done it, but seeing other going away parties, you kind of get an idea of like, oh, well, this person's going away. Here's what we do, or like in the houses. And can you imagine him already being like all packed and ready to move to like the next step to LA, and then being like like the cake being cut almost and being told like, oh, you're not going anymore.
Yeah,
like, that's going to cause a lot of strain and a lot of friction between like the players, even not on his team. Like if any of the other LA Valiant like players ever come on to Fusion's team or anything. Like,
It's weird. And so the Valiant 0-7. They're probably going to lose this week.
Yeah.
0-7. They massively messed up trade talks with the Boston Uprising. This organization is in disarray. And pulling out of a trade that you verbally agree to is terrible. And the Valiant are clearly trying to upgrade their roster, but I don't think they're going to be able to do that anymore. I don't see a team trusting them.
Yeah.
The only way a team will trust them is if the Valiant are getting fleeced in the trade. If the Valiant are giving up way more than they're getting back.
Definitely.
So this is just a terrible news story, and this is a terrible sign for the Valiant in Stage 2.
Yep. It's not terrible. Sponsors. Let's get to those guys real quick.
6'4" and full of muscle.
Okay, we're going to get into our predictions now. So, here's how this is going to work. I will bring up the match. You two will, say your thoughts. And if there's, disagreement, you'll debate. I'll throw my hat in the ring. You'll come to your final decisions on who you think's going to win. And then we'll have a poll on the, big indecisive ones. We'll have a poll on Twitter, possibly on YouTube, definitely on Twitter, for you to go and voice your own opinions, say who you side with, and say why. So let's jump into that with the Philly and New York game today.
New York. Are we going to disagree about this? New York is angry.
It's going to be New York.
Dude, they're going to come into this game pissed off. And they're going to play probably the most angry they've ever played after giving up that game to Seoul. They're going to play mad.
Oh, it's definitely going to be New York.
Okay, I think the next one's a little more interesting. Boston and Atlanta.
Ooh. Boston. I feel like they're a more stable team right now. I feel like Atlanta won't be able to replace DeFran's production immediately. Baby Bay will not replace DeFran's production immediately. So I feel like Boston is a more cohesive team. So they should be able to win this. I'm feeling 3-1.
I'm going to say Atlanta. I'm going to say Atlanta because I feel like Boston still has to recover from the playoffs.
Bro, this is Atlanta was in the playoffs?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They both left the same round.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I feel like they're both going to give each other a hard fight, and I just think Atlanta's going to come out on top.
I think they're going to miss DeFran.
I think it's going to be Atlanta.
What I'll throw in there is, Atlanta supposedly has a focus on the mental health of their players. I don't think that'll come that much into a difference. They went out in the same round of the playoffs. There's been a lot of interesting trades and stuff with both teams. And, I'm not leaning either way, really. I think it might be closer than 3-1. I think it might be, but I don't know yet.
Well, I say it goes 5 maps. I think it'll be a 3-2 Boston.
Okay.
3-2 Boston.
I'm going to go, it goes 5 maps, and it's still going to be Atlanta.
Okay, well, now we have the Dragons and the Gladiators.
I say it's going to be the Dragons.
Gladiators 4-0. Gladiators are going to wreck them. The Gladiators were heating up at the very end of Stage 1, and I think the Gladiators are going to riot that straight through Shanghai, destroy all the buildings, plant the LA flag in the middle of Shanghai.
They're going to put their shields up.
Yes, and 4-0.
I think the Dragons are going to win because I think they're pretty solid. They were also warming up towards the end. They have good players.
Okay,
warming up. They beat London, but that's not warming up.
Let me cut in here real quick. Shanghai Dragons heating up is when you're
Shanghai Dragons heating up after a 0-40.
Okay, yeah. 0-40. They're heating up. This isn't a propane stove that you're starting. This is a
the Shanghai Dragons just didn't have enough gold yet, so
this is a coal boiler you're starting up with Shanghai. Once it gets going, maybe it'll be really hot. You'll get some steam. But I'm gonna go Gladiators. But I'm gonna say, I'm saying 4-0.
Yeah,
I was gonna say maybe.
I think Shanghai will win
4-0.
at least one map if they go for. If it's not going to be 4-0, they'll at least win one of the maps, and it's going to be
so you don't believe in Shanghai being able to win this game?
Not in no.
This is the Gladiators game to.
This is the Gladiators game.
I think I still want to root for Shanghai. I
All
like
right.
Aguri.
Have fun being wrong, man.
Okay.
Gladiators 4-0.
We have Paris versus the Charge.
Yo, do we even need to like talk about this
Nope.
game? Charge.
Charge.
Okay.
No. Charge. 3-1.
3-1.
Paris will take a map. Probably the escort map.
Charge.
I'll go with that.
I'm gonna say 4-0.
I mean, it's not gonna be close.
It's not good. No.
It's not gonna be
Okay.
close.
Yeah, let's
So-
not even...
Do we need to talk about Friday's games? Do we need to talk about
We
Friday's
have to.
We have to.
Let's go
Okay.
over.
London and Florida.
London,
London in 5 maps.
where Florida is going to take the first map, London will take the second, and then it'll go Florida, and then it'll be London,
I think London will
and
take
then
the
it'll
first.
be London.
I think London will take the first 2. Florida will surprise with almost a reverse sweep, and then map 5 London will be like, oh wait, what are we doing? And then just run
Yeah.
through them. But I think Florida will...
I feel that, yeah.
I don't know. London is... I'm not sold on London. I
They
feel like...
lost. They were the losers to the Dragons.
Yeah, but I'm not sold on London. They play well, but they're a middling team, and I feel like Prophet and Birdring aren't excellent in goats, and that holds them back because their team is very reliant on Prophet and Birdring just being monsters. And
Sure.
when they're not monsters, it's iffy. So I think Florida will, kind of do a little bit.
Okay, Justice and Defiant.
Defiant.
Uh,
Defiant.
you all know how I feel about the Washington Justice. Defiant for
Defiant.
Defiant 4-0.
Defiant 4-0.
Okay, now the Shock That Got Shook versus the Not So Valiant.
Shock 4-0.
Yeah.
Dude, the Shock are going to destroy them. The Valiant, as we just covered, they're in disarray. And their organization is in shambles.
If anything, Shock's gonna 4-0 them just for payback.
Yeah, this is like... And there's this rivalry, between them because, they did have
In
the Cali Classic.
Yeah. And the
And
California.
so the Shock, they're going to, especially want to go in there and destroy them.
Yeah.
There's a sense of pride there.
They literally in an Instagram post or buy
Twitter,
tickets and stuff. They have the trophy just laying in between Sinatra and Super.
They're ready to
They
prove
know
something.
what's up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so 4-0.
Okay, next up we have the Hype Beasts versus the Hercules, Gladiators versus Soul.
Oh. You go first. This is a hard one.
After seeing Seoul versus NYXL, I feel like I'm kind of going for Seoul because they did do that huge upset.
Now,
And
before you go on, I have a question. Do you want Soul to win or do you think Soul will win?
I think Seoul would win.
Okay.
I don't think it will be easy. I think it will go literally all 5 maps and then as many times through that last map as possible. I think Seoul would win. Just because they have a lot to prove.
Now, I'm very high on the Gladiators. I think they're a playoff team.
I don't
I am
disagree
also-
with that.
I'm also very high on the Seoul Dynasty.
I think they're a playoff team.
I think they're a playoff team that is it's clicking for them. All these expectations. So I don't know who I feel like this is the game that all this week I'm going to be anticipating and thinking, on Friday night who's going to take this?
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to lock it in and say who I think will win. So I will go with Seoul Dynasty reverse sweep.
Seoul Dynasty reverse. I can see that.
Here's-
I feel like that.
Soul Dynasty with a
okay.
reverse sweep.
I think it depends on how the game today goes for the Gladiators.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they go really hot and they go just hard and manage to just decimate, they might have a better game. And I think that reverse sweep would be more likely if Souls to win.
And it is worth saying that this is a back-to-back.
This is.
The Gladiators are playing the very next day, and Seoul hasn't played it, so
Yeah.
that is worth mentioning.
So
that-
that could affect the Gladiators in that they might be, a little off. but I think it's more likely that Seoul will be a little off. They're not used to, they won't be as ready for the whole the big time.
Gladiators will be
Gladiators
a game in.
They'll be switched on.
But I would like to mention that there's a reason why Gladiators and Dynasty are like the last game of Friday.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a hell
It's
of
going to be
a
interesting.
It's the heavyweight match.
And that's kind of why I said reverse sweep. I know reverse sweeps are rare, but I think the Gladiators are going to come out
Really
heavy.
strong.
They're
Really
coming out
and they're
to
going to
punch.
slow down.
But I believe Seoul slowing down the game and
Seoul is
kind of-
very calculated.
and learning and being like, all right, we kind of got this, and then pulling off the reverse
Soul
sweep.
takes their time, and you saw that during the playoffs. They took their
good, yeah.
time, and that's what helped them beat NYXL. Like, they took their time. They knew what they had to do.
Yeah, so I think it's a super close game. So we'll just kind of see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else to say except for that it'll be a good one. It'll definitely be a good one.
We'll be back with the Saturday and Sunday games after a word from our sponsors.
We're back, and thanks to those sponsors, we have a Twitter poll about that Gladiator and Soul match. It's on Twitter. Check it out. Now then, moving into Saturday, Florida versus Philly.
Philly?
Philly?
Philly.
3-1. Florida will take a map.
Florida will take either the first map or the last
It'll be an
map.
ugly map, but they'll take a map. It'll be
know,
ugly.
Yeah.
I want Florida to do well. I really do in my heart.
I don't.
But if they get as stomped as I think they probably will, just by the nature of things, I think they'll be demoralized Saturday, and I think it's a 4-0.
Yeah, it's not. It's gonna be an ugly game though.
Florida's either going to take the very first map or they're going to take the very last map. There's no in between with them.
Moving on, Toronto and Boston.
I'm not a fan of Toronto. I'm very low on Toronto and their team, so I am going Boston in 5 maps.
I beg to differ. I like Toronto. I think they're going to win it. Still in 5 maps.
What are they gonna do that's gonna bother Boston? Like, I think Boston is just a more. I feel like they're gonna be more competent coming into this. I feel like, they did make moves and they have a clear direction of like how to improve. And Toronto, they're good, but I'm just not a fan of Toronto. I feel like in the long run, they're not going to make the playoffs. Like, in the grand scheme of things, they are not going to be one of the top teams at the end.
In my opinion, I just don't think Boston has the confidence in their players. I think part of the reason why is just going back to them always being the first to trade people out. I think Toronto is pretty strong. I just think after all of the trade stuff that happened, Toronto's just going to win it.
They're just rolling back the same roster, Boston's actively trying to improve themselves. You know what I mean?
But does that improvement actually improve anything?
We'll
Now
see.
then, you talked about rolling back. I want to talk about rolling and how New York is going to roll Shanghai.
Yeah, it's probably going to be 4-0. New York has a lot of pressure to win this game. They need to win. Like, Shanghai, they're scrappy, and they will upset it. They aren't there to make the playoffs and be championship contenders. They're there to ruin a team's day.
I think...
Indeed.
Well, obviously, it's very easy to be like, NYXL is going to win, because obviously. But if Shanghai did win, that would be a huge upset, and I think it would absolutely demolish NYXL for the rest of this, the rest of the stage.
I mean, they're still so talented.
The rest of the season. They're still talented, but I feel like losing to Shanghai would literally demoralize them.
Losing to Shanghai isn't as bad as it was last season. Losing to Shanghai last year is like what losing to Washington is this year. Like if you lose to Washington, you're trash. But Shanghai is like a mid. They're lower mid tier, but they're like a mid tier squad.
I think with how up there NYXL has been and how everybody's hyping them up, I feel like if Shanghai were to win this map and upset them, like, I feel like it would be more internal. There would be more like, well, we lost to them. We have to like scramble the forces. Like, we got to do something. We got to change something up. Like, maybe we're getting too predictable. I don't know. I feel like that's how it would be, because it would be such a huge upset after, like, you know, because Seoul is a upper mid tier. Like, they're very high.
They were expected to 4-0 Seoul. Seoul was not expected to do anything.
Yeah,
like
but I'm saying the same concept could apply here. Seoul is higher, but I feel like if Shanghai were to win, it would actually affect them more.
But they are not going to win.
They're not going to win.
It is a New York 4-0.
Now, will Paris wave the white flag, or will the hunters become the hunted?
The hunters are going to hunt.
Yeah.
They are on the hunt. They are going to murder the roosters.
I mean, everybody likes fried chicken.
The
Like,
roosters.
It's still chicken. Roosters are
Yo,
still...
Twitter poll, are roosters chickens? Hit us up. Okay, so Chengdu 3-1?
No, I think they're going to 4-0 them. I don't think Paris is going to hold.
I think Chengdu 3. I feel like Chengdu's volatile enough where they give up maps. They're
This
feel
would be
like-
the one
okay.
map there that they go hard goats.
I feel like Chengdu will see the name Paris, think about how awful the map Paris is, and get thrown off for a map, and that's why it's 3-1.
all right. That's a fair.
That's a fair...
That's some.
They'll just be like, oh god, Paris, and then they'll be like, oh wait, oh dang, they want that first map. Okay, let's play together.
that's some fair analysis. Basically, Paris is getting hurt.
And then finally, moving into Sunday, we got Shock versus the Charge.
Ooh, the rematch. 5 maps. The Shock. I think Guangzhou is going to play better than they did in the first game, but it's gonna go 5 maps. I think these two teams are right there. They're even. And the Shock they're a great team, but they are hot and cold. They lose games, and so Guangzhou can take this. I think the Shock are going to take this in 5, but it's going to be an ugly 5. They're not going to look great doing it.
I know because Shock posted who they're lined up against that there's a back-to-back battle between this week and next week with Charge. Whoever comes out on top this fight will probably lose next fight.
Probably.
So I'm going to say that Shock wins, but there's a possibility the next week Charge comes in and destroys them.
I can see that.
Okay, and then Atlanta Reign versus London Spitfire.
London in 5 maps. I think it'll be close. London is still a more cohesive team. Nothing has really changed with them. They have solid teamwork still. The chemistry's there. Atlanta is still going to be affected by losing to Fran. And so they will lose. They will put up a fight. They will be scrappy. But London, based off of team chemistry, will pull out the win in those moments where it's either you're going to lose or you're going to win. And it's that one moment that'll shift the series for you. And I think London will be able to win those moments.
I think between these two teams, London is just better at team fights.
Better team.
They're better. Well, especially now without Defran. Right now, I think London is the better team.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna say London. I don't know if it'll go the full 5. I feel like it would be close, but I feel like it's gonna be one of those ones where it's close, where like on the it goes to like map 3 on a control map. That's as close as it's gonna get. Like Atlanta will win the control map, but it'll go all 3 maps, and then after they win that control map, it's just gonna be London, like a 3-1.
I don't agree. I think, you know what? I think Atlanta will have time to adjust. They'll have gotten there. They'll have had some games. And I think that even though they won't be as warmed up as they were getting towards the end of the last stage, that they'll beat, London Spitfire, even a cold Atlanta Reign.
I think you're fucking wrong.
Yeah, you're insane.
Nah.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be an easy win.
Yeah. All right.
But I think they'll pull through.
Okay.
I have a lot of hope for Atlanta. That's not because they're the face. I have a lot of hope for Atlanta because I've seen a lot of good things. Now, Vancouver versus Spark.
Vancouver 4-0. Vancouver is going to come into this game with the divine spirit of whatever higher power they worship, of King Kong, of all the great apes in media. They're going to come into this game, look at the Spark, and say,
goodbye. I will say,
that's what they're going to do.
I agree. I just wanted to add a little tension when I said Spark, but it's not like it's a
There's
big
no
deal.
tension, man. Vancouver is... Oh, they are going to come into this game.
I'm really... I know that Vancouver's going to destroy them. I'm really worried about the Spark because I'm like, what's going to be new? Like, what is going to be new?
It is their first game of the stage, both of them.
Yes, but I'm also thinking about, like, Spark last stage. I just, what is going to push them? How are they improving? They are so in the middle that I'm like, how are they going to get better? Which is, they're not winning, they're not losing, they're just
average.
Lukewarm water. Lukewarm at best.
And then, end of Sunday. End of Sunday.
Main event, baby.
The main event. So, Chengdu is being called the Hunters, but I think they're like the Predator. They're like a horror movie villain because they're just getting all these easy pickings. They get Paris one day, and the next day they get it just 4-0 Washington.
Washington 4-0.
Nope.
Wizard is a genius coach. No. Chengdu's gonna kill them. All right, let's not even play.
Okay, so...
You know what? In the Twitter poll,
Is Wizard...
will Washington take not a map,
Nay.
a team fight?
one team fight?
All right, they'll take a team
Will
fight.
Washington-
No, I'm sorry. Will Washington take a point? There you go.
How
Will
about-
Washington take a point on a map?
Will Washington on
I don't mean to tick.
on
a full
offense on offense? Will Washington on offense not back away from a fight?
Washington isn't that. All right, they're bad. They're not that. Calm down.
But
Point. No, I'm thinking Chengdu, New Vancouver. Right
And
here.
Chengdu isn't like that good either.
I know,
Chengdu will
know.
come out against Washington running their full meme team.
They're
Not gonna take the like if anything.
They're running Bastion.
If Washington pushes, like, let's say it's on Rialto or something, pushes to point 2, as soon as they like pass that point 2, they're not gonna let them get past that chokehold, the overhead.
Washington's gonna get destroyed, but Chengdu is not going to look like unbeatable.
Yeah, no.
No.
I mean, to be fair, Justice can make anyone look unbeatable.
Yeah.
They can make us look unbeatable.
They can make us look unbeatable. Well, that was a Scrapyard. If you enjoyed it, feel free to share it with your friends. Remember, you can find us at Scrapyard Media on either Instagram or Twitter. No Facebook. Discord in the description. And be sure to check out those Twitter polls. Weigh in on the discussion. This has been the Scrapyard.
Bye.
Roll outro.
You come from a land down under, where women go